This time of year is amazing for us gardeners. We love it. It's also great for foragers, but something that you need to make sure you know before you go foraging is how to identify plants that are edible and plants that will harm you. That is not something that I thought about when I started this gardening journey 8 years ago or so. I just kind of assumed that if I planted it in my garden, it would stay in my garden. That is not the case. And I also did not realize that there were things that were going to grow in my yard that looked like vegetables and are not. So lucky for us, my mower is broken. What great luck for us, because there are some things growing in my backyard that are super edible, and there are some things growing in my backyard that you would never, ever, ever want to put in your mouth. So I'm going to go out with you guys today, and we're going to determine what is good to eat, what is not good to eat, and how to tell the difference. Oh, and by the way, for those of you guys that are new to my channel, I am Katarina. This is Grounding, Growing, and Gardening. I am a mom. I am a gardener. I run a compost program. I am, in a past life, I was a dancer and a dance teacher. Maybe that'll come back in one day, but right now I'm just focused on other things. And I'm just so grateful for you to be here and come for a walk with me in my garden. Let's go. I'm gonna start right here with a patch of wild onions. Now, wild onions are very edible, and this is something that a lot of you are gonna have in your area. We have them all over the South, and they are super good to eat. One easy way to identify them is that when you pluck them, they smell like an onion. That's the first thing to look for. If it doesn't smell like an onion, it's not an onion. But once it starts to bloom, it's gonna have these little scapes that are gonna come up. And these scapes are gonna open up, and inside are these little seed pods that will go. Excuse all the noise. My neighbor is mowing. My other neighbor's kids are screaming. Sorry about that. Once it starts to grow up, it will have all of these scapes on the top. And as you can see, they're gonna pop open, and those scapes are where the seeds are. So this is something super edible. You can throw it in your fridge. It'll last about 10 days, or you can chop them up, stick them in a Ziploc bag, put them in the freezer, and then you'll have them all season. So wild onions, super edible, very delicious. They do have lookalikes. I'm gonna try to film a lookalike that's very close to my neighbor's yard that's mowing, and we'll hopefully be able to get some footage that I don't have to voice over. Let's see. So I'm currently in a patch of Star of Bethlehem. Now, Star of Bethlehem is a beautiful flower. It makes so Star of Bethlehem makes these little white star flowers, and they're gorgeous, but you don't want to eat them. The problem with Star of Bethlehem is that when it's growing before it begins to flower, it does look quite a bit like a wild onion or wild garlic. And so the first way that you would be able to tell is by pinching off a piece and smelling it. If you smell it and it smells like garlic, you're good to go. If it doesn't, I wouldn't eat it. Also, once it starts to bloom, you can see that these heads are going to be very different than the onion that we just looked at. This is what it looks like as it starts to bloom, and then it turns into these pretty white flowers right here. And while these flowers are beautiful, you do not want to eat them. There is another lookalike that makes a smaller white flower. You'll see it all over your yard in the springtime. It's called crow poison. And as you can tell by the name, you definitely don't want to eat that one. If I find one, I will pluck it, but I think most of my crow poison is in my front yard. So, wild onion versus Star of Bethlehem. Pretty easy determination once they start to flower, but they definitely look the same when they just send those first shoots up. Make sure you know what you're eating. Don't eat this. The next thing you're not gonna wanna eat if you see it in your yard is a carrot lookalike. It is not Queen Anne's lace. It is not a wild carrot. It is hemlock. It is poison hemlock. And it definitely is something that looks like it could be an edible plant. But when you look a little closer, you can see that it's not something you're gonna wanna put in your mouth. It's definitely something you're gonna want to avoid. When you pull it up out of the ground, you can tell the difference, because instead of a long rooted carrot, as you would see on even a wild carrot, you would get more of that true carrot shape. It's gonna be white and it's gonna be bulbous. So it's gonna resemble kind of a funky turnip / potato thing, but you definitely don't wanna eat them. Also, I would suggest not touching them without gloves on. The best way, and possibly wearing a mask too, something to cover your eyes. You don't want to get it in your orifices. It is very, very unhealthy for your body, okay? So it can make you very sick or possibly worse. And it's something that comes up in my yard every year, because about 8 years ago, there was a pile of limbs and I couldn't get in there to weed eat, and I didn't know what it was, and I was just like, oh, pretty flowers, and I left it alone, and it spread, and now it's everywhere. So when I get ready to mow in the springtime, I make sure that I go ahead and mow that down. Realistically, the best way to get rid of it is to uproot it, put it in a trash bag, send it to the landfill so that you don't have a longer term problem. But because it is all over my yard, and because I am such a busy person, that's really not in my capabilities right now. As you can see behind me, there are buckets everywhere. That's because I run a compost program on top of my garden, on top of my social media, and on top of my job that earns me income to pay my bills while I'm building other things, right? So I am a very busy woman. There is one of me. So this year and last year and probably next year too, the hemlock will be mowed down. Maybe one of these days I'll get around to getting it all out of the yard. In the meantime, it gives me a great opportunity to teach my little ones, to teach my kids, and to teach you guys what not to put in your mouth. Okay, so now we're over here in the actual garden. The wind has gotten so bad, I'm having to hold my tripod up. But I'm gonna show you what a real carrot looks like in comparison to the hemlock that we just looked at. It's a little bit, I would definitely say that the leaves of a carrot as opposed to hemlock are a little bit more dainty. They are a little more lacy. Whereas the hemlock leaf is a bigger, more robust leaf, even though it has that looseness about it in the leaf structure. So you just want to make sure you really are looking and you know what you're doing when you are trying to forage. Don't eat something. If you don't know what it is, don't eat it. That's just a good. So over here you can see that we have baby carrots, and they're a lot more lacy and lightweight in their structure. These carrots also have, these are going to be purple carrots, so they have a little bit of a purple stem going on. That these are actually black nebula carrots. I forgot I planted these on this side. So they have a very dark stem structure, and you can tell that leaf is not there anymore, but you can see that they have a much lighter weight, loose pattern in their leaf structure, and it will stay that way. It will get it'll get bushier, but it's never going to be that thick, heavy look of the hemlock. It's going to be a nice light look of a carrot. Got some baby carrots, definitely some weeds in here that need to come out, but we've got some baby carrots here that you can see. These have a green stem, so it's a little bit trickier, right? You can tell that you're going to have to look a little closer. Now obviously I did plant these, but they are going to be lighter, more lacy, in their leaf structure. And then of course, when you pull them out of the ground, they're going to look like a carrot as opposed to a bulbous white blob. So again, when you're learning to forage, just make sure that you are either learning from someone who has a lot of experience, go talk to someone who's been around a long time, or make sure you're very, very careful about identifying plants in multiple ways. Leaf structure, smell, flower, root system. Make sure that you have several different ways that you are identifying a plant before you decide to eat something that you see that looks like something else that you know, because we can totally get into trouble that way. It is very easy. Once you begin to identify plants and you've done it for several years, it becomes much easier to say, oh, that's this, that's this, that's this, you're good, don't eat that, right? Like, but in the beginning, it can be very tricky, and you just want to make sure that you are not going to eat something that will take your essence from your body, okay? Let's put it that way. And I hope that you learned something today. If you did, please give a like and maybe share this video to someone you think it might help. It really helps the channel, and I am so grateful for you guys being here. As always, stay grounded, keep growing, and don't forget to water yourself. You guys have a great one, and I'll see you next time in the garden.